Osiris.
Welcome to Flock Talk, the ultimate jam band community podcast, where the grooves are endless and the vibes are infectious. Join the Femme Flock as we dive deep into the lifestyle, culture, and community of the colorful world of jam bands, everything that makes this genre truly unique. If you're tuning in today, you're in for a treat. Today, we sit down for a conversation with the talented Ricki Blakesberg, curator of Retro Blakesberg and Retro Photo Archive. You may know her dad, the photographer for the Dead. We talked to Ricki about what it's like growing up in the scene and behind the scenes of the Dead, her journey trying to find her own path with one of the most recognizable names in live music photography, what it's like to curate from thousands of pictures all the way back to 1978, and Donna. So grab your glitter, bubble guns, and best show fit and join us on Flock Talk, where the people make the scene sparkle. Hi, everyone. I'm Nikki, and today we're here with Jess, Carly, and Andy, and a really special episode of Flock Talk. We're joined by photographer and archivist Ricki Blakesberg. Hi, Ricki.
Hey.
She's a storyteller who's been capturing and photographing, curating the jam scene through her own unique lens. Ricki, welcome to Flock Talk. Where are you recording from today?
I am currently in my apartment in Brooklyn, New York.
Awesome. Gosh,
Yeah, nice.
Brooklyn all over the place lately.
Where in Brooklyn are you?
I'm in Fort Greene. Do you live in Brooklyn?
Yeah, I'm in Williamsburg. So
nice. Yeah, I can wave at you. Yeah, I love living in New York. It's so fun. I grew up in San Francisco, but I would come during the summers to New York a lot. I have a lot of family here, and so I kind of like grew up on both coasts, and I like always wanted to move here. So as soon as I graduated college, I was like, I'm coming to New York. And I just think it's such an amazing city with so much art and music. And there's just always something to do and be inspired by.
Oh,
Definitely.
absolutely. I feel you're very lucky. I'm in Michigan, so I don't
Michigan's
get to-
cool.
It's fun. I love my state, but yeah, it's no New York. That's for sure. So let's jump in. In case people are not aware, Ricki's dad is Jay Blakesberg. He was and is the photographer for the Grateful Dead. Ricki is part of that as well. So your dad has been in the jam scene for a very long time. What are some of your earliest memories within the scene?
Well, I was going to concerts with my dad for as long as I can remember. I actually was just going through our archives. For people that don't know, I manage my dad, Jay Blakesberg's archive, photo archive, primarily his film stuff. And then we also own an archival company called Retro Photo Archive, where we own and represent about 30 other photographers, all shot on film. But the other day, to answer your question, I was looking through the archive, and my dad always was taking photos of my brother and I when we were growing up. And I like spotted this really cute photo of me in this like little tie-dye dress with like the dancing bears, and my face is painted, and my brother's next to me, and he also has like a little fish shirt on. And I texted to my dad, I'm like, where is this? And he's like, oh, that's like one of your first music festivals. It's High Sierra for String Cheese Incident. I was like, nice. Like, a memory I don't even like remember at all. One that always comes to mind though is I grew up loving the Flaming Lips, still love them. They're one of my favorite bands. And when they were playing in San Francisco, my dad took my brother and I, and he was good friends with Wayne Coyne, still is. And he brought us backstage, and we were hanging out with Wayne, and he was like, you guys can like come dance on stage with us while we're performing. So my brother and I went out, we were, wearing like these big stuffy heads, and we're like dancing up there. And during Yoshimi, I went out next to Wayne and did hi-ya next to him, and my dad got it on camera. And so that's like probably one of like the first real memories I have of being at a concert and being like, oh my God, this is so much fun. And then, I put my dad through hell making him take me to, all the pop concerts too. I was like, we gotta go see Hannah Montana, like all that stuff too. But yeah, those were like some of my first memories.
You had a unique situation where your dad was photographing everything. So you have your memories, which a lot of people don't. I have some pictures from when I was younger, but not anything like what your documentation, I guess is a good way to put it, is, because when you were there, why wouldn't your dad take pictures of you? I mean, You were probably freaking adorable in a little tie-dye dress. Oh my gosh. It's my favorite thing in the world. So that's amazing that you have those kind of pictures. Have you made like a I don't wanna say a photo book, it makes me sound so old, but like a collection of pictures, we'll say, of you and your brother when you were small, like specific to shows and things like that?
I haven't. I should do that, but
Definitely
I just
should.
like I yeah, I totally should do that. I don't I just look at them on my computer or my phone. It's a boring answer.
Well, I think you need to do that. I think people would love to see it, first of all, and it would be great for something for you to have as a memento from
It'd be
growing up in
cute.
that. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, yes.
my dad has definitely, like, put those he's made a bunch of coffee table books, and now I, am the creative director and curator of those books, but before I was doing it, he would do, like, a little, like, dedication page, and he'd always put a little photo of us in. But, it's actually funny that you say that because it got me thinking, I put the tie-dye dress photo my dad and I have been working on a new project, of zines. There are a series of zines. Some are under Retro Blakesberg, which is the archival business that I run for my dad. It's all of his
Right,
photographs just shot on film. And then
right.
we also have a retro photo archive zine collection starting. And I write sometimes little essays in those just to sort of talk about, the curatorial background and why we're making these zines about this specific topic. We have a Deadhead zine, a Grateful Dead in Egypt zine that just came out. I'll talk more about that in a sec.
Yeah,
A Neil Young zine, and then a punk zine. But there's some photos of me in those that I just, like, pop in, if I'm writing
of
something
course.
just to, like, kinda do a throwback.
Of course, I mean, that's you being there if you're writing about it. Absolutely, you should. I think that that makes it more authentic if you're putting yourself in the pictures as well as talking about what you're doing. So, I think that's a great idea. I love it. Do you feel like being part of the scene is like you were meant to, it's your destiny, or like my daughter resisted the jam music. She had the Hannah Montana streak in her too, which I had broke. But do you feel like you just this kind of just eventually it sunk in, or was it there was a resistance? How did that
There
I guess
definitely was a
culminate for you?
resistance, and sometimes there still is. Like, I think that, when I was younger, like, I was always listening to so much jam band music I didn't even, like, know. I was just listening to so much music. It was, like, the classic thing of a dad in a car with the kid, a song comes on, and he's like, "Who's singing this?" And you're like, "It's JJ Cale." He's like, "Huh?" Like, you're like, "You taught me well." Just, like, little things like that, but I definitely, like, went through a phase of really, really liking punk music. Like, my brother and I loved NoFX. Um and we would make my dad take us to, like, a bunch of punk shows and stuff like that, and then, I obviously had, like, my pop era, but then I think as I got older, I was like, "Okay, I need to sort of figure out, like, what it is that I like and knowing that I genuinely like it." Because I also went through a period, I think, when I, like, was in high school later in high school where I was like, "Oh, I wanna be in the jam scene, but do I really like the music? Like, is this really what I want?" And so, I think after that point when I got into college and I started really getting more into music and photography and rock and roll photography, it was like, okay, I wanna, like, take a step back and think about what it is that I really like to listen to and, like, sit down and, enjoy, you know?
That's kind of amazing that you were that aware that you had to do that because you're exposed to it. It kind of sinks in and you kind of think that's maybe what I should be listening to, but you were aware enough to be like, "Hey, I don't know if I like this or not." So was that like a long period or was it like you were going to different shows on your own? How did you do that?
Um, I don't know if it was like a I I honestly am probably making it sound like I knew way more what was going on back then than I did, you know?
Well, hindsight's
I don't
2020.
Yeah, I mean, I think that yeah, I don't know, I think that with listening to music, it's I go in I also just go in phases. Like, I think that, like, for example, I always am gonna love Fish, they're one of my favorite bands, but, there's years when I'm going to so many shows, and there's years where I'm, not making it to as many, and doesn't mean that I don't love it as much or I'm not listening to it as much, it's just, like, I think my music taste really ebbs and flows. And especially with jam bands, like, a lot of times, like, for me, I prefer to see the jam band live, and I don't wanna listen to them. Whereas like I would rather listen to like alt rock or beach house, like beach house, like dream pop, that type of music,
Sure.
where I don't know if they would be as fun to go see live as it would be seeing, a jam band. We're very lucky in that way in the jam band scene that like we're going to such rock and shows that like sometimes when you go see a different band that's not in that scene, you're kind of like, oh yeah, like this is what a concert is, like I think that we're quite spoiled in
Yes,
that way.
Yes, we
we
are.
all
Very true.
identify with that greatly, because
Yeah.
we're jam girls, but we all have very eclectic taste. And going to we were talking about, like, going to a Dua Lipa show is not the same. Where, like, she's playing the same set list and the same choreography every night versus, like, a jam show, like a Goose show, a Dead show, where you never know who's
Totally.
gonna come, and the lights are such a big part of it, and the community is such a big part of it as well. Where have you net out? Like explored a lot of music? Like, where are you today? What are you listening to?
Oh my god,
What's
today
speaking out?
let's see. So I'm working on this project. I think I can talk about it. I'm working on this project for Relics magazine right now, where it's like a 60th special anniversary issue of the Grateful Dead, and I'm curating it. So I've been like full on in Grateful Dead world, more than I have ever expected I could be, like, especially growing up with my dad who's like obsessed with the Grateful Dead. Like I'm just like 24/7 locked in. And so I was listening to the Day of the Dead like all day today, which I thought was so funny because, it's like a compilation of all of the different bands that came together to like perform Grateful Dead songs. It's actually quite beautiful.
Yes.
And then also just today I was listening to Neutral Milk Hotel Radio. So like Granddaddy is like they're one of my favorite bands, it's just like a little bit more like emo alternative indie. Yeah.
I've
So that
heard
was
of them.
that's kind of like where I'm at right now. It's like I'm like entering winter into like depression era, you know?
Sure. It's cold. It's less sunshine. Why not? So, what's your favorite band to see and jam band to see, and why?
Ooh, I kind of feel like I have a 2-in-1 answer or a 1-in-2 answer. My Morning Jacket is like my favorite band
Really?
to see. I don't know if like a lot of people don't think that they're a jam band, and I go back and forth thinking if they're a jam band or not. But they've been like my favorite band since the beginning. Like I found out about them before I even knew my dad photographed them. Like I just loved them. And I just saw them at Brooklyn Paramount for their 3-night run, and they did Z in its entirety, and I was just like, "Yeah, like, that was so banging." And then the 3rd night that we went, like, I left, I was like, "That's the best Jacket show I've seen in so long." Like, it was so much fucking fun. So, for me, like, it's that. It's kind of like this mix because, like, honestly, like, I love going to a Fish show, but I think that if I have a lot on my mind, sometimes it's easier for me to, like, tune in and tune out,
Mhm.
and I was just, like, so locked at this show, I couldn't think of anything else.
That's great. I just was having this conversation with a friend over the weekend, and they told me, which this person is one of the people I hung out with in college, and was that we were into the Dead together. We got into Fish at the same time together. And he said that he would go see My Morning Jacket and be on tour with them before Fish at this point. And I was blown away. I'm like, I don't understand. I think it's because I've only heard a couple live songs. Most of it has been studio, and studio is not really a good way to get exposed to a band. We know this. But I need to see them in a whole show because
You do, it's amazing.
I don't have that. I need this opinion. I need to feel that same way. And there's so many people who are just, they love them. They can't say enough good stuff about it. So that's kind of funny that you brought that up. Because,
I will say that the Jacket scene is, like, a lot of dudes,
oh,
like, it
100%.
like, I when I was there the other day, I was in there and I was like, "Oh my god," I'm like, "Where are my ladies at?" You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're used to that here.
And it's
Yeah.
true, we are.
You get that. It depends on the band you go to. Sometimes there's like Umphreys is all dudes. It's all dudes.
So many dudes.
But you go to Goose. Goose has got the most girls. I think more than Fish. There's definitely more females at the Goose side, but there's a lot more women showing up at Fish too now. So it's actually
Yeah.
getting better. But yeah, no, I get it. Is it a pretty welcoming community, though? I mean, are they still a lot of fun? And
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I think it's been totally fine vibes.
good.
I think
Yeah,
that any concert can get a little bit rowdy. And
sure.
so,
Especially
yeah,
with
I
guys.
think like, yeah. And I think especially like being a woman in like the jam scene or any music scene, it's just like you always do just need to be like more aware because
Right.
you can trust all your ladies, but you want to just make sure that you can like trust everyone. And I know that the jam scene's like trying to really build a community like that, but I do think it's really nice that I just feel like a lot of women have each other's backs in this community. Like I love
Very
how
much.
welcoming people are when Jess, you mentioned this earlier, but like when how the scene is, it's like so welcoming and there's such a community. And when you're at a show, you're like running into all the homies and you're like, hey, what's up? Like, no way, good to see you. Like sometimes you only know these people on social media and it's like such a vibe. And so like that's like such a high in itself when you're going to a show and you get to like run into all these people and see a familiar face. Like that's so exciting to me. And I think that the women in the scene are never like, oh, like who's that like bitch? Like I don't want to like talk to her. It's more like, what's up? Who are you? Like, let's be friends. And I
Yep.
just don't think you see that in a lot of other scenes in general.
Girl,
No, we
that's
latch
why
onto
we're
each
here.
other.
That is literally why the FemFlock exists, is like we found this amazing community. Like it started within the goose scene and then we call ourselves polyjammers because, we have enough love in our hearts for more than one jam band, which not everyone does, but we do. And it really like, I met Nikki on Twitter in 2020
I
and
love that.
like this just spawned from that. And like, any of us can go to any show now, as I'm sure you can, and run into a million friendly faces. And this community is really, really special. So yeah, we focus on that a lot here. Um,
I love that.
yeah. What's your favorite Dead song
Oh my god. Well, it always changes.
right now, today?
I know. Oh my god. Probably I'm gonna say that today it was Eyes of the World. It was really hitting me home today. I think that's my answer.
That's a
That's
good
not
answer.
usually my answer.
That's a good answer.
What's your usual answer?
I feel like my usual answer is it's probably like Scarlet Begonias because it just kind of like rolls out. I'm kind of like, here you go, It's like so funny because I feel like growing up in the dead world and like being my dad's daughter, I I like get asked so many questions where a lot of times I'm like, I don't even know if I like could answer this, that I could just like make it up like on like Grateful Dead history, like I remember when I was when I was like I think I was like 11 or 12, someone said to me, which keyboard player do you like better, Pigpen or Brent? And I was like, fuck are they talking about? Like, I don't know. And I was like, Brent. And they like lost it at me. They're like, that's not an original member of the band, like crazy. And I was just like, I'm 12. Like, I'm just excited now that I can go like look up who Pigpen and Brent are, but like it's like these things where it's like this expectation where I'm like, always like that like quick dead answer, which I think is so funny because it's like, don't get me wrong, I love the Grateful Dead, I grew up on them, but like am I listening to the Grateful Dead a lot? Not necessarily. Do I know if a Grateful Dead song comes on, do I know it and know all the words? Yes. Like it's kind of one of those things.
I feel like deadheads are, especially when I joined the scene, it was like, okay, what's your favorite song? It's like, okay, I need to come up with like the most out of pocket original answer because if I say deal, someone's going to punch me in the face.
100%.
I was always so terrified of that. And even like the keyboardist question, like I remember I didn't even know there were multiple keyboardists until like, 4 years of listening to Dead music, just because like I was so uneducated and just was like, hey, I like this music. It sounds really good. Like,
It sounds
isn't that
good.
enough?
No, dude, totally. I think it's so interesting because, in the work that I do, I'm always posting photos of the Grateful Dead. Sometimes when they're my dad's photos, it's great because he's my dad. So I'm like, hey, like, give me a little bit of history on this and I can write out, a cool story and me and him can have a dialogue. with some of our other photographers, like some of them aren't alive. So, when we're going through these archives and we're like picking out these negatives and whatnot and slides, like a lot of times they'll have like little captions or little dates or something, but a lot of these photographers like weren't super organized. So it's like putting together a puzzle. Like we're very much like, okay, Jerry's wearing like this outfit and he's also wearing an outfit and like from this show that like looks the same. So I feel like it's from there. But it's interesting because I'll post these. Shout out Retro Photo Archive, Retro Blakesberg. Go follow us on Instagram. But I'll post these and deadheads are hardcore, like we're talking about. And so sometimes they'll be like, that's definitely not 1969, and that's across the street from 710 Ashbury. And it, like, always makes me laugh because 'cause I'm like, "Thank you." Like, it's okay, like, I'll go fix it, but I'm always, like, feeling like I'm getting, like, a little bit yelled at by some of, like, the older heads, like, come on now. You should know this. Like, you should know that that was April 3rd and not April 5th. Like, it's very much like that vibe. And you know what? I love it. I love that, like, the Grateful Dead is so impactful for so many people. And it's like such a part of their soul and their story. Like, that's how it is with my dad. Like, I can call him up and be like, I need a song lyric that's gonna match like this vibe to like create, a storyline of this. And he's like, I got it, and just can like rattle it off. And I think that's so cool. Like, I don't think that there's a whole lot of people like that today anymore. And especially with like the growing dead scene in terms of like Dead and Co. Like, I think it's also become more of a like scene and not as much of a like, I'm here because I fucking love the Grateful Dead,
Right,
you
right.
know?
And I think that's a big thing with it's jam bands in general, but the Dead definitely started it off, where the more you know, the more you are respected. Just how it goes. I mean, it's sometimes and as a woman, a lot of people assume that we don't know anything, and trying to keep up with that, I guess, is the best way to put it. Just because some people retain information better than others doesn't mean that you're less of a fan or no less. It's just that your recall is a little bit different. And as you get older, you forget things. But that the passion in the Grateful Dead fans is probably one of the best things in the world. It's just it's good. It's also funny because
Totally.
pe- people will that the fact that they know the difference when he's wearing the same outfit, but it's a different show is amazing. It That's just how we roll, and it's always been that way. But I think it's probably hard being and how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
29.
So being in your 20s, and you probably know more than the average fan as there is, just because your exposure. Is somebody trying to challenge you on that is just it blows my mind. It blows my mind. Do you think that has to be with being a woman?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I also think that like people can be like quite possessive of like the Grateful Dead. Like I think that people have like there's certain things in the Grateful Dead world that
Mhm,
they work really hard on and they love. And I
mhm,
think, at any point also like being like a younger person, a younger woman like coming into this and like I'm working with archival stuff that's sensitive to people and that means a lot and that these were moments that I wasn't necessarily there. I wasn't there for, like I was
right,
born after Jerry died and like I think that I'm creating like my own relationship and understanding of this like archival photography in the best way that I see it represented like through my eyes and through like the experience that I've had from like talking to so many different people in the community of the Grateful Dead. But I think that I think it makes sense. Like, I think a lot of people have spent so much time and energy and like have put a lot of love into this that like sometimes it can feel like intimidating where it's like, oh, if I'm coming in and I'm Jay's daughter working on something, like, did I just get handed it or, do I care? And the answer is that I care so much. Like, there's nothing more beautiful to me beyond just the Grateful Dead, like working with the photo archives that I do, like being able to get this work out there, like these photographs, most of them were sitting in bankers' boxes and storage units and had never been seen before. And so like to me, being able to like help these photographers put their art out into the world when we are in a time period where now it's like easy to get it out there through social media. I just feel very, very lucky that if someone might be like a bit of a curmudgeon to me or come at me about some type of fact or whatever, I'm like, great, like let me just like learn from this experience and grow.
That's such a mature and respectful way to be, because a lot of people take it very offensively, but that's a beautiful way to be. I like that you have that attitude.
Rick, you mentioned something a bit ago about the how Dead and Co. It's become more of like a scene than people being there like for the music. So what do you think like the next generation of jam is gonna look like? And is there anything from the past that you think should stay, or things you think will change or have changed or should change?
I think there's gonna be a lot more nitrous. I'm just kidding. And my boyfriend's listening now and got it.
I almost spit my water out. That was funny.
Uh, um, no, I mean, the thing is I like am definitely like I, I was definitely like semi shitting on like like the scene aspect, because I do think it's like a little bit trendy right now, the Grateful Dead, and that's great. I'm like, fuck yeah, like we're finally having our like fashion moment. I love it. But I think that we're already seeing a lot of it. Like, I mean, I think about you guys with Goose. Like, I haven't had the chance to really like dive full into Goose. Jess knows my aunt Jan, who's like obsessed. But and she's been trying to get me more into them. And so like I need to come to a show and get into that. And like,
She's at every single one. You have no excuse.
I know it's like I gotta just go ride the rail with her, but I probably won't ride the rail. But yeah, I mean, I think that the future, I think that this all goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, is that I think that the beautiful thing that has happened from when jam bands started really with like the Grateful Dead in the late 60s to now is the community. The other night I did a collaborative event with my friends Peter and Charlie, who hosted Dead Night at this bar called Eavesdrop in Greenpoint in Brooklyn. And all these like young deadheads were coming in. And when I say deadheads, I feel like that's like a universal term for like people who love Goose, who love Fish, who love Umphreys, like you name it, they're in. But I was just thinking, like, I'm meeting all these people and we're all talking, we all have like this common thread, and we're building like these friendships, and it's so cool. Because if I was like thinking about it a year ago, I didn't know Peter and Charlie, and I met Peter because he's a photographer and he shot some Dead and Co photos that I loved, and I reached out to him, and so like I think that my hope is, and how I see it going, is that I do feel like the continued thread is going to be that community, and like the older people passing it down to the younger people. And I see it with my parents. My parents were deadheads, still so many of their best friends are, and now most of my friends are people that I've met through music, and I think there's something really powerful to that, and I don't see that slowing down, which I think is really great.
The community is, as I said, so important, and like the reason we're here. So we identify very much. And I hope you're ready.
I just thought, it's To Lay Me Down. That is probably my real favorite Grateful Dead song.
Fair. We will change the official answer for you.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to.
Yeah, we'll cut the Scarlet Begonias part.
Yeah,
It'll
take
just
it
be
out.
this.
Take it out.
Talking about your parents and growing up in the scene, like, how did that shape your childhood? Like, you said there was music on, your dad took you to festivals from before you knew anything. Like, can you talk about growing up with Jay Blakesberg being your dad, and like, given the choice, like, would you have changed anything?
Well, I'm like, would I change Jay being my dad? No.
That's not what I mean.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I think growing up in it, it's interesting. I think that like I was honestly like a little bit like spaced out, I think, when I was a kid about like the whole scene. Like, I just thought it was like, I still kind of sometimes am like, I think it's just normal. Like, I'm Jewish. When I was younger, my brother and I, when we would see Santa, would be like, hey, that's Jerry. My dad's like, it's not, but okay.
That's awesome.
But like, I think that for me, like, I grew up in like this world, and so many of my parents' friends were in this world. And so in my mind, I was like, this is the flow of things. And I think that I'm really lucky because that made me find like communities going, I feel like that's sort of been like the theme of this podcast so far, but like going back to communities, like I just feel like that I've always found that people that like love and listen to music and, are inspired by that. And, I think being surrounded by a lot of artists growing up was really inspiring. I love taking photos on my own, like I think that I looked at all of that stuff more from like a, I think I just appreciated it. I think I appreciated a lot of what my dad was doing, and I thought it was really cool. And I feel really lucky that I was like, this is just normal, because it really encouraged myself and my brother to like pursue our dreams and be freelancers and artists ourselves, and not feel like, oh, I need to like go get an office job, like my dad always just ingrained, like, if you want to be creative and you work really hard at it, like you will be able to get there. And so that was like quite admirable. And I'm so glad that he passed that down to both of us.
Yeah, you're so lucky to have had that like support in doing your own creative endeavor, because I feel like especially today that is not how all parents parent. And there's like such a big emphasis on like get the degree and then you're going to go become a doctor or a lawyer, like you need to be able to support us one day. And so you're very
Totally.
to have like had that creativity like fostered within you from an early age. Were there any like scary moments like being a little girl in the scene? Like I find it like I'm a little girl in the scene now. Like I'm not. I'm also 29 and like an adult, like going to concerts. But I feel like I have scary moments all the time. Like you're being 10, 12, 15 at a show. Like were there times where you had to like grow up quickly?
Oh, yeah. I remember, like, this one time I was at a festival with my brother, so I used to go to, like, all of these music festivals, like, I would go to summer camp, Lock-In, Bonnaroo, like, I would go, and I would go with my brother's old he's 2 years older, so I would go with him and all of his guy friends, and, like, they were kind of my crew, like, I hadn't really made many, like, female friends in the jam scene yet, and so I was going with all of them, and I was like, I loved it. I was like, I get to be with my big brother. Like, this is so fun. Like, this is great. And, my dad was shooting at all of these too. So, like, we would like rent an RV or something and he would be like roaming around. And I remember one time we were at a festival and I was standing with my brother and our friends. And like, this guy, I probably was like 17 or 18. And this guy like fully turned around. Like, it wasn't even dark and just like groped me. And I couldn't even, like, believe what had just happened, and, like, I was thinking, like, I was with my brother and my cousin, and, like, they were able to, like, handle and the situation and, like, help me and be like, "Back the fuck off," but it was, like, this moment where it was, like, this wake-up call of, like, going back to what we said at the beginning of the call of just, like, "Okay, I need to be, like, so much more aware." Like, I think that being in that group of guys with, like, my brother and his friends and my cousin and stuff, like, I was like, "Okay, I'm safe, nothing could happen." But at the end of the day, as, like, a woman in unfortunately, in the jam scene, like, we see it come up a lot, like, we just have to be really taking care of ourselves and being, like, hyper aware, and I see that from, like, either, like, physical or, like, vocal, like, I definitely have been, like, yelled at by, men before or, like, people taking, like, a opportunity to, like, have, like, a moment of power, there's always fears with that, even with, like, male musicians, you know?
Yeah.
These are things that we see throughout the scene, and I think that I actually don't know if I would say that it made me grow up quicker. I think that it honestly, I think it probably, like, repressed some things for me, like, I was like, "How do I just, like, turn it off and avoid it?" And it probably hasn't been until, like, more, like, in the last, like, 5 or 6 years that I've started to, like, really stand up for myself, or if, like, something makes me uncomfortable to be like, "You need to stop." Um, I think that it sort of, like, did the reverse at first. It made me feel like maybe I need to, like, be quiet and just, like, not say anything.
Being with your brother, were they aware? Well, obviously they handled it, but were they aware that you're a young girl in a situation that has more male bodies around where things like that could happen? Like, do you think that he had that in his head at all? Or was it just that kind of woke you guys up to the possibility of that happening?
I'm not sure, like, I assume so. I think that he's only 2 years older, so, like, we're all just kind of kids, just, like,
Right.
figuring it out. I assume
Sure.
that he's an aware guy. I hope so.
I would hope so, especially because 'cause he's got a sister. Usually
Yeah.
that makes men a little bit more mindful when they have women in their lives. But
Mhm.
having your guard up, unfortunately, that's part of being in that scene and putting ourselves in those situations, which aren't necessarily all bad, but we have to be aware that that's happening. So it's sad, but it's getting better. It definitely is better. I mean, that
I mean,
the
we're
first
more
time.
aware, like, we talk about it now, and I think
Sure.
that's, like, a product of the Me Too movement in the last 5 years or so, like, what you were saying of now you're starting to come to terms with it. Do you think,
Right.
like, your dad was aware? Like, did he ever have that conversation with you of, like, "Hey, we're going to a show. People are gonna be on substances, like, keep your wits," or, like, "Come find me," or I don't know. Did he talk to you about that?
Like, yes and no. I think it's so interesting because I think that, like, I mean, like, assuming your parents are, like, a similar age to how old mine are, like, I think that that generation sort of, like, was bordering on this time of, like, what is, like, okay and, like, what's normalized, that I
Right.
think that, like, being a woman, like, also, like, a freelancer, a working woman, like, I think that I've, like, helped my dad also just, like, relearn things that, like, maybe he wouldn't have been able to, like, see right away and just kind of, like, put things into perspective. I think that's such an interesting question because I always feel like my dad was protecting me and always had, like, my best interest, and like, 100%, but I don't know if it was necessarily something that, like, he was fully thinking about because I don't know if it was, like, normalized for his
Yeah.
generation to be thinking about that, and I think now, after, like, me being an adult and, like, spending all this time with him and going to so many things with him, I think his answer would be, like, 100%, I am aware of those things because we have, like, that rapport and we have that dialogue, and I think that that's what's, like, so great about, you know, my relationship with my dad is, like, he's my dad, but he's also my friend. And he's my business partner, we, like, work together now, and, I'm talking to my dad so many times a day, like, it's calling we're just always calling and figuring out ways to collaborate or coming up with ideas, and I feel very, very lucky that that's, like, something that him and I get to do together. Now he's starting to realize too, like, he's learning so much from me, like, I'm not just learning from him anymore, so it's become, like,
Different
yeah, it's just, like,
generations.
yeah, it's really nice.
It's different generations. And I was gonna say, the first concert that I went to without a parent, I was like 12 and I got groped. It was Bon Jovi with Cinderella opening, and I thought that was a good thing. That's kind of how it was looked at when I was that age, is that, "Oh, that's flattering. That means that
Yeah,
you're attractive." Not, "That means this person's an ass and should not be touching anybody and keeping their hands to themselves," which is what it should have been. But I know that a generation, it was, the catcalling and the attention from men was what women kind of aspired for, I guess, and that
yeah,
is definitely not how it is now or should be. Um, so I could see where it would be more of an enlightenment to him, when as you were growing up, to be like, "Oh, yeah, I have a daughter. This is not good. We nobody will touch my daughter. That's not how it works." And previous to that, it was probably a little bit of the opposite. So it's kind of a good thing that he can see that as you grew up, to realize how appropriate that type of behavior is. I guess that's the best
yeah,
way of saying it, if that makes sense.
totally,
But
yeah,
that's how it was looked at. I mean, it just, that was a good thing, which is so fucked up.
yeah, but it's good that we've, like, made so much progress since
Oh
then
my
to,
goodness,
you know
yes.
I mean, still a lot of
Absolutely.
work to do, don't get me wrong.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the first time taking LSD or psychedelics was with your mom and dad at GD50. Can you explain how that experience went and how that kind of shaped how you did it or didn't do it, or how'd that
Oh
work?
my god, I was like, "Thank God." It's so funny, I'm like, "Thank God I did acid for the first time and my parents were there." I was, like, so fucking stoked.
That's so weird.
I I know, which is so it's so funny. But I remember my dad was the photographer for GD50, and he let me bring 2 friends from high school, and we were like sitting in his office, and someone like I forget who gave me the acid, but it was like these tabs, which is so funny because now I feel like I don't take acid tabs anymore. I'll do like liquid. Like I feel like that's so much more of a norm um, for our generation. But anyhow, I remember like doing the tab next to him in the office, and I was like, I'm not going to tell my mom at first. And we take it, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh fuck, like I just did this, like this is crazy. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go out into the audience, but you have to remember, like, all of my family friends are deadheads. Like, that's what I grew up in. So all of a sudden, I'm like standing out and I'm like right by the rail and I'm like having a conversation with my parents' friends. And like one of my mom's best friends, Suzanne, who, like, I'm 17 or 18 at the time. So I still feel like I'm a kid and I can't really like act like an adult totally. Like, it's cool that my mom and dad or my dad at the time knows that I did acid, but I don't want anyone else to know. And all of a
Sure.
sudden she starts like asking me what my like summer plans are and like all these things. And the acid hits me. And I'm like talking to her and it's like wah, 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 like she's just like totally vibrating. And I like am just repeating myself. And she's like, are you okay? And my dad's other friend, Jen, came, who's like his best friend. And I'm very, very close with her. And she goes, I know you took acid. Go, run, get as far away from us as possible. And so I just grabbed my friends and like, let's go. And the first time you take acid is like the trippiest, most psychedelic. So the music started probably like, who knows, 20 minutes later. And it was so much fun. And then once you start getting into the groove of it all, I was like, great, this is so fun that we like wandered back. And I was like hanging with my mom and like dancing with her and like told her, I was like, I'm tripping. And then, my like hanging with my dad, like it was just like so lovely to be in that community because then you're like, wait, like these are what all of my parents and friends, like their friends did at the same time, like
Right.
they were 17, 18, 19 going to dead shows, taking acid. Like I honestly feel like it couldn't have been more perfect for my first time, just like growing up in this whole scene. Like I love psychedelics. I think that they're so beautiful and like have helped me on so many different journeys. And it's like I just have fun doing them. And to think that that was like the first time I did it and I got to like talk to my parents about it while I was tripping was just
That's
so
wild.
special.
It's
Yeah.
wild. It's so cool, but it's wild. I was at GD50 with my daughter as well, but she was only 11 at the time.
You're like, she's
So
not dosing.
she's not doing anything. She had lots of questions, but that was about it. But that's a beautiful story. Not many people can say the first time they dropped was with their mom and dad and had a great time.
I
So
know.
that's
It
a
was
great
great.
story. I love that. How did the conversation about drugs and psychedelics go with your dad, being that you took acid the first time with him? Did he have like, okay, there's going to be a lot of people on drugs, or did he just let you go and figure it out?
I think he just kind of like let me go and figure it out. That was sort of like how my dad rolled just kind of in general, like with us, like you got this, like go out there and like, it was great because like he was like we were lucky because he was always at like any of the festivals that I was going to or when I was young and he was taking his shows, like he was always there. But I think he was just like quite encouraging about just being like, go figure it out and like have fun, you know?
That's beautiful. I like that. I like that a
Yeah.
lot because most people are a little bit more, I want to say, guarded with their kids around that and don't want to answer the questions and don't want them to know because they think if that'll keep them from it. But I think that actually
Yeah.
pushes them towards them more. So, no, I think it's better to expose people and let them figure that out.
Yeah, and, like, my parents were always very open about, like, weed and, like, psychedelics. I think that they were always just, like, a little bit more hesitant about alcohol. Like, that was, like, something that they weren't stoked about growing up. And so, like, growing up, I was, like, just excited to smoke weed. That was, like, just what normal for us, which I think is great, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it's fantastic. I'm not gonna argue with that. It's good for so many things though. It's not just to have
Totally.
fun, but it's good for it's medicine as well.
I was kind of curious because going back to us finding the story about GD50 on the other podcast we listened to, we noticed on the podcast that you call your dad Jay. And I was curious, like, what, and I know you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but what your working dynamic has been with him, being that he is your dad.
Yeah, no, it's so funny. Someone just asked me this the other day, and I was like, when we're working, I try really hard to call him Jay. Like if we're on a Zoom or something, I'll be like Jay because I'm like, it sounds so like unprofessional to be like dad, like, and it's actually really funny because sometimes when we're on calls, if he like starts talking like too much, I'll be like having to like keep myself from like rolling my eyes or doing the thing that you would do like to your dad because I'm like, this is a professional situation, like I can't be doing this. I'm like texting him on the side. I'm like, shut up, shut up, shut up, like, but it's funny. So I think that in a professional scenario, I call him Jay. Or also, like, if we're out, like, at a show, a lot of times I'll be like, Jay, like, get over here, like, or Jay, take a photo. But, I think that it goes back and forth how I think, I mostly call him Jay these days. So does my brother. We both just call him Jay.
It gets attention too, because especially when you're in a crowd of people and somebody says dad, there could be 8 people that turn
Everyone
around.
looks. Yeah.
Right. So my daughter used to say Nikki when she wanted my attention and I wasn't listening. So I totally get that. But also, it is a professional environment. You are in a working situation. I think that that's a totally respectful way to do it. And it just, we notice it because it's dad, That's how most people would think of the way to address their father, but when you're working with them, it's a whole different dynamic.
I can jump in. I'm kind of curious because obviously the name Blakesberg holds a lot of weight in the scene. Um, do you ever feel like you wish you could have forged your own path outside of such a iconic name in the dead scene?
Um, more recently than ever before, just because like now I think that I'm trying to like, I work a lot with my dad, but I'm also just trying to like explore and work on things on my own. And I don't want to be like necessarily always so like connected to my dad. Like I want to be like known as my own entity, especially like when it comes to like archival work or curatorial work. Like, um, I think it's really easy to loop me in with, you know, my dad's reputation, whoever he is, but like I am not him. And sometimes it would be nice from like a working sense, I think, in this scene because like I love working in music. I feel so lucky that I get to work in music and photography. Like those are my 2 favorite things in the world. And so, yeah, there's definitely times when I'm like, maybe it would have just been easier if I like had a pseudonym, for this project or something. Cause then there's also just like not the pressure of like, oh, well, did she only get this because she's Jay's daughter? Or, like, did this only happen because she's Jay's daughter? And that's something that goes through my head, I think, a lot. Like, I think that plays into being a woman, a working woman, Like, I think that we have been, like, trained to, like, question ourselves a lot and, like, sometimes maybe feel insecure about decisions. And I think that I can be working on a project and be, like, so heady about something and I'm like thinking, I I don't need to be this heady. Like you're putting too much pressure on it. And I think that that's sort of what working in photography and music and being related to my dad has sometimes like happened. Like I have to try and find that balance.
I feel like also there's just such a strong conversation in like the like environment about like nepo babies and like it's just
Totally.
thing that's been on a lot of people's minds lately. But like also you got here for a reason. Like if you didn't have any talent, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. And also like having your dad as a guide is like why you're capable of doing a lot of this and like why you have that talent. And so like it's a give and take. But I also think so much of it is just misogyny. Like if you were your brother, you might not get as much or there might
Yeah.
be of pressure because, it's your brother taking after your dad, but like it's you being a little girl, like taking after your dad. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
The
I
world.
very much.
Have you ran into any pushback from people because you're his daughter instead, given attitude and things like that because it's not him and it's you?
What do you mean? Like,
Like when you're trying to, research some stuff and maybe ask questions about things
oh,
and maybe
100%.
people
Yes.
questioning you instead of it being your dad.
Yeah. And like, oh, 100%. Yeah. And like a lot of times too, like if I'm like working, because like I said, I'm a freelancer, like if I'm working for other people and I, reach out, if they're gonna be like, "Oh, is this like a this project or is this like a Blakesberg project?" Like I'm always getting like looped into just like the Blakesberg world, which is great. Like that is ultimately like my business and I love it. But like I said, I just do more than that. So I
You're
sometimes
like,
don't want to just put in that.
it is the Blakesberg project because that's my last name.
Yeah, you're like exactly. I'm like, that's how I am.
Yeah, what
Right,
do you mean? That's me.
exactly.
That's me. What are you saying? I'm gonna start giving the answer. That's so cute. I'm like, yeah, what do you mean it's a Blakesberg project?
Of course. Like, I'm sorry, do you know
Yeah,
my name?
thank you.
That's the best way to do it. There's nothing wrong with that. You're just sticking up for yourself.
Exactly.
More power to you. So I think we need to talk about uh, something that's happened today. Unfortunately, we lost a very important part of the Grateful Dead. Donna Jean, unfortunately, has passed away, which is just heartbreaking. We just love her so much. She's
I
such a
love
queen.
Donna.
Oh, so sad. So we want to talk a bit about her with you. Did you ever have the opportunity to meet her or speak with her or cross paths at
When
all?
I was very young. Yeah, nothing that like I remember, but something so as I mentioned earlier, I've been working on this relics project and I have been going through all of these old relics articles and there's one on Donna and that's going to actually be featured in the magazine, but it's just amazing because it's an interview with her and she's talking about her experience as being the only woman, like one of the only like women in like the Grateful Dead world. There was Candace and Betty and she just was talking about how Jerry was always, like, so welcoming and, like, made, like, a safe space for her. In fact, like, all 3 of those women in their interviews mentioned that, like, there was always just, like, a safe environment brought by Jerry, and I think that that's, like, so powerful because it really, like, loops back to what we've been talking about today of just, like, having, like, that safe space in a time, especially in, like, the '70s and '80s when, like, that wasn't as normalized and when it was easier to, like, say to a woman, like, "Well, I'm your boss and, like, you need to listen to me." Like, she, I feel like, is such an innovator of, like, independence and passion and, like, really fighting for, like fighting is not the right word, but, like, really, like, putting herself out there as a woman and a performer and just, like, being such an innovator of that in an all-male band.
She was a strong role model. I mean, she was for the short time she was with the Dead, she was the strongest of the women that was up there. She didn't wait to get permission to sing. She sang when she felt like she needed to sing. And
Totally.
you could totally feel it, and even just listening to songs without having to see it, you could feel it. And that's one of the beautiful things about that is that there was a time when the Grateful Dead had a woman on stage, and there's not many jam bands that do that. There's not enough. How about that? There's not enough jam bands that do that. Um, and she is just the queen of them, and it's just heartbreaking to lose that. And it's so good to hear that Jerry was aware of that and making a safe space, making space for somebody who just is the only woman in the room at probably any given time. That's really, really important. And I do think that's super powerful as well. So there's been a lot of debate around Donna's role in the band. I mean, just internet folks in general. But looking back, do you think some of the criticism was rooted in misogyny and bias against women having a visible voice in the scene?
Eh, I feel like that's just, like yeah, 100%. I was just talking about this with, my dad the other day because I was like, "What's good? Like, why are people always so angry about Donna?" And, like, I said this to him honestly, like, last week. I was like, "Why?" I was like, "I don't get it." He literally was like, "I think it's because she's a woman." And I was like, and like, he's not saying that like in the sense of like agreeing with it, but he was like, I think that's why. Like, we've talked about this already so much, but like, it's such a man's world. And so I feel like men are so intimidated by like strong, independent, successful, badass, beautiful woman, especially when they're kind of like, we don't really like care about you.
Yeah.
And so I think that that was like Donna's energy. Like she was just so badass and up there. And like you said, like saying when she felt like she needed to. And she really like like when you look at photos of her in the band, like she just sticks out. Like she just is so amazing and vibrant. And I think that that was really intimidating for a lot of men.
Oh, I'm sure. She's almost ethereal when you see her because she had that long, beautiful hair and she wore
That
flowy
hair.
dresses. And it was like she was almost like floating above. Like it was a different section of the stage than the rest of what was going on was Donna.
Totally.
And that in that fact, when most men probably just wanted her and didn't care about what she contributed, that's the attitude that I get from men when they give shit about Donna. And I'm like, what are you friggin' talking about? I mean,
Totally.
the woman sang with the Grateful Dead, with one of the most amazing guitar players in the world, period. And she held her own. Like, it wasn't like she was timid or small. She was big and beautiful and boisterous and the strong. I just strong. She was the strongest. I love it. Because she was the only woman that ever performed with the Dead. What does that represent to you or as on a whole, the Grateful Dead community?
I hmm, that's an interesting question. I think that because she was the only woman, it represents to us like she like or at least to me as a woman, like she was like such a like a powerhouse and like she's like a huge part of I think what made them like such a strong band. Um but also I mean I think it's just like I hate to be redundant, but I think it also just goes back to like the jam band world. Like there's just a lot of men rolling through, and I think a lot of times people think that a man can do the job better. Like who knows when they were going through all the keyboard players if like they ever considered bringing in like a female keyboard player. And like honestly, I think about that sometimes with like Dead and Company. You know what I mean? Like think about like Holly Bowling. Like she's such a fucking badass and she
Oh
would
my God, I just saw
like
her this weekend. She's
yeah, like
amazing.
oh nice. Were you at
Amazing.
the Green Sky shows?
Yes, I was.
Nice. Um Yeah, I mean, and, like, honestly, like, that's something I like that Green Sky does, that they, like, bring her out, and I think that, my boyfriend is in the band Fruition. I don't know if you guys know
Oh,
them.
I
They're,
love
like, a small
Fruition.
yeah, they're great. They're a small Americana band, and I love them. Like, one of the 3 front people of them is a woman, and she's, like, a total badass, and she creates such an amazing dynamic, and I was thinking about how lucky it is like, selfishly for me, like, I love going on the road with him and his band because I, like, have another woman there to hang out with, and so it makes me definitely think about, like, Mountain Girl, you know, or Rosie
Yeah,
McGee when they're on the road with the Grateful Dead when they were younger, and, like, having just, like, other women around, like, you'll always feel a little bit safer, and I think that I know for myself, like, when I first started dating Kellen, like, that was something that was so lovely to have, like, it felt like such, like, a warmth in the community, so I think that I don't know exactly how to answer the Grateful Dead question, but my hope is that, you know, like, the way Grateful Shred has Michaela Davis in it, like, I think that's so beautiful and so correct, you know, like, I'm hoping that
yeah.
these are things that can keep happening, you know, with, like, the Terrapin Family Band having Elliot Peck or Nikki Bloom, you know, I think that bringing in women when you can is always the call.
I agree. There was a moment at the Green Sky show this weekend where Lucy Liu was on the stage and I'm sorry, Lindsay Liu.
Yeah, Lindsay
Say that. Lindsay Liu, Lucy Liu. She's the one who was in like the movies, the
Charlie's Angels.
thank you.
Mhm.
Lindsay Liu and Holly Bowling are on the stage, and Lindsay Liu is such a presence. She reminds me of Donna a whole lot. She can
I could see that.
sing. Oh my God, she can sing. But she basically commands the stage. Like you can't not look at her when she is singing, even though you've got Green Sky playing and jamming their asses off. I'm looking at Lindsay Liu because she's she's moving things. She is moving mountains with her voice. And
Totally.
more women do that. And they even brought it up. You know, we're flanked by women at this point. Girl power green sky is fucking badass. And that's not my words. That was their words. And it's 100% true because it was a whole different dynamic when you had them on the stage. It really fills in the sound. And even they did a cover of Let It Grow, and I don't think they could have done it without Holly. They wouldn't have been able to pull it off as much because it sounded so beautiful. So I totally agree. More women on stage. We need them, especially
We
jam
need 'em.
band. My gosh, that's perfect place for women is in jam bands.
We would love to talk about like your photography and archiving, more of like what you do specifically. We've read that like your archive is bigger than the Grateful Dead. Like, what other artists and bands excite you? Is there something you'd love to archive that you haven't? Like, what else besides the Dead?
Yeah, I'm like always on the hunt for stuff beyond the Dead because I feel like we're so lucky that we have such a like amazing collection of Grateful Dead stuff. And like you said, I've seen so many of these photos. So I mean, when I get to see a Grateful Dead photo that I haven't seen, it's epic. But we have this one photographer, Elizabeth Sunflower, and she was one of the first archives that we had bought as part of Retro Photo Archive. And um, she was a San Francisco photographer in the late 60s, early 70s. She was a journalist, and she took like all of these really powerful, amazing photographs of, San Francisco during like the rise of the stripper movement. That's where like that all started. It all started in San Francisco. That's where the first topless dancers were. Also like Allen Ginsberg and like the beatnik poets, like all that. Like I think that I'm so interested in um seeing scenes from the 60s and 70s, like these like kind of more, I like to say that our archive is like it's more pop culture because it's not just music. It's a lot of like it has some fashion in it. But I think that for me, I'm always on the hunt that of like moments that really capture a time. I think that growing up when I was taking photos, that was something I would always think about, and actually something my dad would always say, like, when you're taking a photo, what's in there that signifies what era it is. And I'm I'm just like I'm blown away every time I look through Elizabeth Sunflower's archive. Like she has stuff from the Alcatraz Native American movement in the late 60s where Native Americans went and like essentially like took over Alcatraz. They occupied it and stayed there for over a month. And, I grew up in San Francisco and I never learned about that in school, which I think is so crazy. And then like I found out about it from like looking through her archive. And um my dad and I actually do a little thing with this little publication called the Photographic Journal, where once every like 3-ish months we do a photo essay with them. So we've done one on Elizabeth Sunflower's the Native American movement. We've done one on her rise of the stripper movement. We did Grateful Dead in Egypt. We've done like a bunch of them. So if you go check out Retro Photo Archive on the Photographic Journal, you'll be able to like see just like kind of more of what we have in our archive because it really does go so far beyond just the Dead. Yeah, I mean, I love seeing Bob Dylan when he's young. Like there's some really iconic shots of Bob Dylan and Neil Young performing at Kezar Stadium that one of our photographers, Alvin Meyerowitz, took, and it's just like seeing photos like that of these people that were so used to, I think with like a lot of older musicians like Neil Young or Bob Dylan or Paul McCartney, like we're quite used to seeing the same rotation of pictures of them. So it's really fun working in archival photography because you come across things of like, holy shit, like this is so cool. I can't wait to share this. Like this is the whole point of like like these images. Like we got to get them out there so people can enjoy them and, you know, see these people from like that's our only like lens into what things looked like, Like
Oh,
obviously we have
absolutely.
movies and documentaries and stuff, but I think that photography, like it just like captured this moment in time and it's so unique and special. And when for me, like, that's, like, one of the most thrilling parts is when I get to see something where I'm like, "Whoa, this feels special."
That's the point of why we take pictures, and the point of having a picture is because you want to capture that moment, and if somebody's not looking at it, what's the friggin' point of having it? And especially if you find good ones. I mean, for goodness sake, you probably have access to some pictures that would just blow our minds. Do you have a favorite picture?
Oh my god, that's, like, the hardest question ever. I think
Okay, how
that,
about of your dad's? We'll start there.
um okay, my favorite photo of my dad's one of my favorite photos of my dad's, I should say, is there's this photo he has of Wavy Gravy, like, painting his clown face on at the celebration of, the Summer of Love in 1989 in Golden Gate Park, and it's so cool, like, it feels I don't know, it goes back to what I was saying, but my dad just, like, captured this moment of Wavy, like, before he was the clown, like, he's in this, like, in-between phase. I actually have it hanging in my bathroom here, and I love it. I think that he what I love about a lot of my dad's, photography, and he taught me this, was that um, just, like, catching these, like, passerby moments, like I said, like, these just, like, quick moments in time that you could lose, and, for Wavy, like, that's such a, like, routine for him to, like, paint his face on it, and become, like, the clown, and I just love that my dad caught that moment sort of, like, in between.
I would love to see it. If you wanna share it at any point, please do. Take pictures yourself? Do you still go and shoot shows and anything?
No, I don't I never really liked shooting music. I always liked shooting, like, whenever I travel, I bring my film camera and just, like, getting, like, street scenes and lifestyle, and then in college, I majored in photography, and I was just more into, like, figuring out, like, portraiture and learning about, just sort of, like, different forms of photography, and I still don't like, when some of my friends will be like, "Can you, like" I saw that you guys had Karina on the show. She's one of my best homies. I love her. And we always joke that, like, when I wanna go on the road with her, that, like, I'm the photographer so that, like, we can just, like, get an extra pass or whatever. Like, she opened her My Morning Jacket, and we were like, "Ricky's the photographer," so I could, like, be on the road with them. And for those shows, like, I did shoot. She was like, "Come on, just shoot." And I was like, "Fine, I'll do it." And I had fun. But it's, like, it's just not something that's ever been, like, part of what, like, inspires me in the same way where if I'm, like, traveling, I, like, need to have my film camera on me. I have to stop at everything and be like, "Oh my god, I have to take a picture of this." Like, for some reason in the places that I live, I don't have that same, like, motivation, which I think is interesting.
I know you mentioned kind of at the beginning of the episode that you've been putting together all these zines, and I'm curious if you can maybe tell us a little bit more about it, maybe your favorite that you've made so far or one that you would like to put together in the future?
Yeah. Well, I have one right here. This is our Neil Young one. We s So we just came out with this one, and this is my dad's photos and retro photo archive photos. We have a Deadheads zine, which is all of, Jay's photos on film of Deadheads from, like, 78 to like, to, like, 95 when Jerry passed, and then, a punk zine, which was definitely a passion project more for me. My dad was like, "I don't know, but fine." And then, the Grateful Dead in Egypt zine, which is, like, so, so, so cool because most of the photos from Egypt have not been seen. It's, like, honestly just been, like, the Jerry in front of the pyramid that so many people have seen. So go on rockoutbooks.com to check it out. But the zines are really fun because I have like a lot of creative freedom with them. I brought the idea to my dad because I was like, I want to make something that's more affordable for like my demographic. I think that a coffee table book is can range between like 50 to $100, and I just don't always think it's as easy to like spend that, whereas like these zines are $27, and I think that they give off the vibe of like, I have these on my coffee table and I see like my friends have them, and I think that there's still something like quite nice about them, but also, that it's not as much of a like intense commitment. um but the zines are really fun, and it's cool, like my dad and I will have like a lot of dialogue about what zines we're gonna do, and we usually do 2 at a time. And I came to him, I was like, "I really wanna do Grateful Dead in Egypt, like, I think it's gonna be really amazing." He's like, "It's not a good idea." And I was like, "No, no, like, I really think it'll be good." He goes, "I don't think there's enough photos, like, I don't think that you're gonna be able to do it." And I was like, "Just, like, can you just, like, trust me on it?" And I work with my best friend from college, Molly, she's the designer I work with, so we were like, "Okay, like, let's prove him wrong." And so we, like, put the whole thing together, and he was like, "Okay, I was so wrong, like, this is great." And it's gonna be really excited for Deadheads because it's like what we talked about, like, so many Deadheads have seen every photo, and there's just so many in here where you're like, "Holy shit," like, it's like Bill Graham and Mickey Hart, like, racing, holding, like, a tray of beers, you know? Like, little things like that where you're like, "This is crazy," you know? So,
I'm gonna freak
I
out.
yeah. Yeah, and
Immediate
so, like
purpose.
so, I mean, yeah, it's, like, it's fun to, like, think about things like that. I'm trying it's really easy, I've noticed in, like, curatorial work and archival work to get redundant and be like, "I'm just gonna, like, post the same thing," or, "I'm gonna use the same photo." And so, I've been just trying to really challenge myself to, like, dig deeper into things and be like, "Okay, what story can I tell? If I'm gonna post this, like, it's okay if it's not gonna get 1,000 likes." We get, like, so high off the dopamine. I'm like, I'd rather just be, like, getting the work out there that's, like, important to share, and I think about that too with, like, these zines, like, you know, what's gonna sell, but also, like, what should be out in the world.
So I have a question, and it comes from. I'll give you some context. I a couple weeks ago went to go see Paul McCartney for the first time, stadium
Hey,
tour.
me too.
Where'd you see him?
I saw him in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay, I saw him in Vegas, so we were not at the same show. But you probably saw like a lot of the imagery throughout the show was like looked like archival pictures, and some of it even looked like AI in a way where they were like.
It was freaky.
So I want to understand like how do you feel about like AI and like coming in like I don't know like they brought George and John back to life and like we're in situations that like we all know didn't exist 50 years ago. Like do you allow your photography to or I guess your dad's photography to be a part of that? And like do you have personal feelings on this new era of technology that we're like all trying to figure out?
I don't love it. I, like, definitely was like, this is, like, such a weird choice." I was with my friend and, I was
It
with my
was.
dad too.
It was
Say it
weird.
again.
It was
It was
really
weird.
weird. Like I
It was
stopped and I was
weird.
like, that I know that didn't exist. Like this is not right.
Was it like
No.
morphing, or was it like they put him in a picture that wasn't real picture that they made up?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, like, they had them, like, in the studio, like, playing with them, like, like, they would, like, take a photo and then they would, like, turn it to life, and then they were, like, all in a studio together. It was interesting because it was, like, at the beginning, they were actually just showing, like, archival photos on the screen, and I was like, "Whoa, that's so cool," and, like, I love seeing this, like, everyone here is like, "Fuck yeah, I'm seeing a beetle, like, this is crazy." And then when they switched into the AI mode, I was like, "This is a freaky vibe," and, like, kinda taking away from the art, you know?
Yeah. No, completely. It was like I wasn't expecting it. I was kind of taken aback. Like I know that this is not real. Like it was like Paul now with like the past members like in the studio
Yeah,
with them and it just felt wrong. But like
it
have you
really
seen that in like some of your dad's stuff or like some of the dead stuff?
I haven't no, I haven't. I also, like, feel, like, happy with also how, like, they did the sphere because I don't even feel like, I felt like they were able to get creative with, like, animation and movement and whatnot without having to do AI. I mean, like, I just think that AI, like, especially for any artist, it just kinda sucks. It takes
It's
away from
laziness.
it's laziness, and, like, that yeah, I fear for the younger generations who, like, have that, I definitely think about myself in, like, middle school. I'm like, I definitely would've been writing papers with that, you know?
Oh,
So I
100%. I'm in
yeah,
grad school right now and I'm like if I did undergrad with ChatGPT like I'd be so
you'd
stupid.
be hooked, yeah. But, yeah, I'm not, like, the biggest fan of it, and I definitely, like, we tried doing like some NFTs with my dad, and I didn't even really love doing that much. Like, I'm such a like physical, like I love holding something, like I think that there's something so nice about it. And especially with like a photograph, I feel like all the photography I own, I could like look at it and always find something new about it. And I don't want to look at a screen all the time.
It's personal. I think it's more
Yeah,
personal when you have an actual picture that somebody stood there and thought about before they clicked. It's a connection. I think more
totally.
than just somebody generating something with a computer. It's a connection. I That's how I feel about it. I'm not looking forward to what the future brings with this crap, but I really do like the actual photographs and pictures with cameras and film and stuff. That's the way to go. I'm hoping things go back that way more.
Me too.
You never know, though. I mean, it could. It
It could. And like I feel like now also like so many kids are like so into like the point and shoot cameras and
Yeah.
like film cameras and stuff. Like I do think that there is gonna be like a rise, hopefully for like younger generations where like we don't want iPhones, like get me a flip phone, like things like that, where it's just like overload.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, like I miss physical tickets.
I know.
I miss the art that went into creating some physical tickets too. Like I have some old fish tickets from like 2019, which isn't even that old, but they're like the last time that I had a physical ticket and I have them like pinned up to my cork board and like I don't know, I just missed that.
They
Um
started handing out like commemorative tickets at some shows that I've been
yeah.
to, which I'm like, that's kind of I'm like, it's cute. I'm like, thank you. You know
They
what?
should have
Thank
used
you.
that to begin with, though. I mean,
Yeah,
I have my original Grateful Dead mail order tickets from
I love that.
1994 and 93, and I have a lot of fish ones. And the first thing that gets you when you look at it is the price that's on it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
25
like,
bucks. Yeah,
"You gotta
that's
make
the
up my
first
dad's
thing.
tickets," or like, he has ones that are like $6.
$6, yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. It's
"What?"
changed a lot, not just the tickets, but the cost. But yeah, I have a bunch of mine. I have hundreds of them, actually. I kept as many as I could, but I had a physical ticket this weekend, but it was just a printed, like the printed ticket you get from like Ticketmaster or something. It wasn't
Like
Ticketmaster.
Live Nation or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
My friend handed me the ticket. I'm like, "What's this?"
Yeah, you're like, "We need this?"
I have to give them this? I don't have to show 'em my phone? Very strange, but good point.
So I actually have been like sitting on this question for a while. Ever since Jess brought up your Aunt Jan and like how she sees her at shows and stuff, and how you were like, "Oh, I gotta get into Goose. Like maybe I'll ride the rail," and then you were like, "Well, maybe I won't ride the rail." That made me curious, like what type of showgoer you are. Like, are you not a rail rider? Are you a spinner? Do you like to hang out in the back? Are you kind of a combination of both? Does it depend on what show you're at? All that good
I'm
stuff.
I'm dying. I love that question. No, I'm definitely not riding the rail. I'll tell you that right now. It's like so not I can't do it. Well, so I'm short. I'm 5 feet. So I are you short too, Jess? Are you my short queen?
Are we literally the same person? I'm
I
also
love it.
29
Also,
in Brooklyn, Jewish, 5 feet tall.
I love it. We're gonna hang out. I can't wait to hang.
Dude, I'm literally
Um,
outside your apartment right now.
yeah, you're like, hey, you wanna come down? But I'm not a spinner either. Unless I'm really high, then I'm like, fuck yeah, let's spin a little bit. Um, I'm I have kind of like I'm giving a posh answer, okay? A lot of shows I'm going to, I have good access, and so I'm going to either go to, like, the balcony, like, VIP type area so that I can see, or kind of be, like I don't love going side stage because you can't hear unless you can hear the music really well, but I like going to, like, an area where I can see and dance, like, that to me is, like, the most ideal scenario. But when I'm going to, like, the smaller clubs, I'm, like, usually kind of just standing more in the back, and people are like, "Can you see?" And I'm like, "No," and they're like, "Bummer," and I'm like, "It's all good, I can hear, it's fine." But that's just sort of if it's a band I really wanna see, I'll go up higher to see them. But I dance, like, I'm dancing, I'm not just, like, head bobbing, you know, like, I'm moving, I'm grooving.
I'm curious, like, what are you like pre-show? Like, I know, like, most of the gals here, like, we're big glitter people. Like, we plan our show outfits, like crazy makeup, like all that fun stuff. Like, do you prep that heavily before a show, or are you just kind of like show up there for the vibes?
It just depends, like, what show. Like, if I'm going somewhere, like, say I'm, like, going to see Fish, you know, in Colorado, I'm like, yeah, like, I'm gonna be like, "Let's send it," right? Like, I'm gonna be like, "Let me get my glitter out." Or, you know, an example is too, like, when I went to, the shows in Golden Gate Park, you know, like, I was with all my ladies, we're all, like, getting, you know, like, it's that vibe. Like, yeah, like, I'm gonna get, like, cute and glittery and get in the whole vibe of it, but if I'm just going to a show in New York, like, when I went and saw Jacket for those 3 nights, like, it's around the corner from my house, like, it was just kinda, like, more low key, like, I'm gonna meet my friends there, like, I'm gonna probably wear, like, New York black. It's just sort of that vibe, but then if it's, like, Fish in New York during New Year's, I'm I'm gonna go hard, you know?
Glitter's gotta
Really?
come out for New Year's.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think it really just depends on, like, who I'm seeing, if it's, like, a whole run, if I'm gonna have a lot of homies that I'm going to the run with. Like, if I'm going, like, squad deep to, like, 4 shows in a row, like, hell yeah, I'm gonna be wearing glitter. If I'm going to, like, 1 show with my boyfriend and we're just walking around the corner, I'm like, maybe I'll put on a gem.
We love Face Gem. But no, this Andy's questions are really important, like your stance on glitter. We were kind of built on a foundation of glitter and bubbles.
We I always say never be afraid to sparkle.
Never.
So true.
Never have too much glitter, although you can. But usually it's just
No,
left
you
over from
can't.
the night before, and so you're just kinda continuing and adding to it. It's a layering effect at that point.
Yeah, just keep putting it on.
Okay, so what are your plans for the future? What kind of projects do you have coming up?
Well, I have this huge relics thing coming up, which has been such like an amazing honor to work on. I'm so excited for people to see it. Um, it's 60 years Grateful Dead experience, and it's about 20, give or take, articles from relics since they started 50 years ago. And it's been really, really cool working on it and, like, being able to just go through so much photography and kind of, like, create this puzzle of, like, making these articles flow together from all these different eras, and so that's been really, really special, and, like, I'm working along such amazing people at Relics. I That was actually where I had my first internship when I was You too? I feel like I've met you, Carly, you look really familiar.
I'm around, but
Yeah.
yeah, my internship, I did a content creation internship at Relics for like 3 months, like
No
2
way.
yeah.
Wait, that's so funny.
I'm
So the Relics project, I'm really excited about that. It's gonna be really cool, and it feels like a huge full circle moment for me that I, like, interned there as my first job, and now I'm doing, like, this huge creative direction job with them and getting to, like, work with them and bringing this to life. It's just it may sound lame, but it really feels like an honor. Like, I just feel very, very, like, excited and proud to be a part of it. And then, you know, my dad and I are always working on new zines and whatnot, and, um, yeah, I mean, I think that my dad and I had a really amazing, busy summer. We had an amazing gallery show in Los Angeles at the David Kordansky Gallery, and we, put out a catalog of the show, um, which is right here. It's a 60-year photo book with David Kordansky, but it's, like, a lot of never before seen, um, photos and never before published photos in here, which was really cool, and these are also on sale now, but, yeah, it's kinda nice, like, my dad and I had so much fun being able to, like, curate so much of this work and really celebrate and honor the Grateful Dead this last year that right now, like, it's I think after this Relics project, like, I think things will slow down in the Grateful Dead world, and we'll be able to focus a little bit more on, like, the other art and aspects in our archive that goes beyond it. I think that we were, like, so, like, going full in with the Dead. Yeah, I don't know if that
Where can
answers
we
your
get that book from?
You can also get this on rockoutbooks.com, or if you go to blakesberg.com, it'll take you there. I'm like,
Cool.
my dad trained me well. I'm like, this is where you go. Call 1-800.
That's what you're supposed to do. You're here to make money.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's wrap up things at this point. So we at the FemFlock are all about celebrating inspiring and influential women. So can you tell us about a woman who has inspired you?
I mean, my mom. My mom's like the most badass lady in the world. I don't even have to like take a breath to say that. She Her name's Lori. She lives around the corner from me in Brooklyn. She's my best friend. She's like a total badass. She is she's like worked at the same company for the last 35 years as a business consultant, and um she's just taught me like the importance of like independence and being like a strong woman, and knowing that you can still have fun and work hard, and that she doesn't take bullshit from anyone, and I shouldn't either. And yeah, it's really admirable. I think going back to like growing up short, she was always saying that when she was on calls and she would meet people in person, they always like were like so surprised by how short she was. They thought that she was going to be a lot taller. And as I've gotten older with like Zooms, like that's been happening to me too, because she just like really taught me to command a room and just like no one should silence us, like if you have something to say it, and like always stand up for yourself. So yeah, it's my mom.
Right on. Give it up for mom.
Yeah.
Woohoo, woohoo. So one more time, where can we find you?
You can find me, Ricki Blakesberg, on Instagram as Lil_Ricks, or you can find Retro Blakesberg, which is at Retro Blakesberg, or at Retro Photo Archive on Instagram. And also you can go to blakesberg.com. If you look up Jay Blakesberg, I think also a lot of those things just sort of like file under that. So yeah, definitely take a look at what we're doing with all this archival film stuff, because I think that it's really special and really important, and so many of these photographers, their work hasn't been seen before. So it feels really amazing to be able to get this work out there and have people get their eyes on it.
I love this so much. I was so looking forward to talking to you. So this was so great. I mean, it really is a wonderful thing that you do, is you bring history back, and that there's nothing that compares to that. You're keeping it alive. We love it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you for my Grateful Dead heart.
And thank you guys so much for creating a space like this. This is so awesome that it's just like all women run, and that you guys bring women onto this. I think it's a really, really, really special thing. And I feel very grateful that you guys asked me to be a part of this. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this evening. We really appreciate it. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Yay.
Seriously, thank you so much.
So nice meeting you all, guys.
Yeah. Thank
Thanks
you
for
so much.
having me.
It was so great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This pod is made by women for everyone. We wouldn't be here without you, and we want to hear from you. If you want to get involved with the FemFlock, fill out our Get Involved form on their website, thefemflock.com. That's FEMME. We are currently building a street team of folks across the country of all ages and backgrounds who love spreading the word about inclusivity and fun. Tag us on socials if you're dancing at a show with your crew, showing off your outfit, hosting or attending a community event, or promoting something you think we'd love. If it's for the community, we're here for it and we want to see it. The space is for everyone, and we're so excited you're a part of it. Don't forget to follow along with the FemFlock on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky, or join our Reddit community. Talk to y'all soon, and flock on.
Osiris.